Oh, so. Yeah. Sanje Choda
Minchorang Tsoki Chonam La Janjo Bada Dani Gapsu Chi Dagi Changjin Gipe Tsoknam Ki Mincholam Panja Sangi Chupa So
Sanje Choda
Minchorang Tsoki Chonam La Janjo Bada Dani Gapsu Chi Dagi Changjin Gipe Tsoknam Ki Rolam Panja Sangi Chupa So.
If it have it possible, just a little bit up. Another stage of head node there. Oh, good, thank you. Taya Tao, Omo
Gate
Gate,
Gate Para Gate
Para
Para
Som
Sum Gate Bodhisattva
Taya Tao,
Ayata Gate Gate Para Gate
Para
Para
Som
Sum Gate Bodhisattva
Taya Tao,
Ayata Gate Gate Para Gate
Para
Para
Som
Sum Gate Bodhisattva.
Ola sa simja tamje ga to topja la na ma che ba sanje yo ko ba mo che chine je tu ba cha di che de le chang ju se me lab ja na zui che de na de la wala xin mo le tu le tu je shu ma no wa chi ko de ga su ba wa de ka su re en je ju go shu de ni gi yin sam sam che
And so we begin our motivation to attain the state of enlightenment in order to benefit all living beings, knowing that to attain such a state, I must perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. To perfect those trainings, I must have a good knowledge of them. I must train and learn about them. And I can only gain this knowledge through a non-mistaken source. And so it is with this in mind today that I am here to listen to a teaching from the Bodhisattva's way of life today.
what ta nam ju de ne shin che na ta rang ge dung ge nang ka la ma tu be ong bu se ta rang ge ta go to ya rang la tin che ba ma gi sim je ta che di pa ma che nga ma de nga ma to ma wa ne ji ja be an ji ge pa ma na ma so ma ba yo so so wa de ku ma sha.
So, as per usual, we also set up the visualization of the merit field in the space in front of us, which consists of the Guru Muninja, Shakyamuni Buddha. And all around us, we visualize all kinds of other sentient beings, beginning with the parents of this life, the one previous to this, previous to that, and going back to beginningless time, so that we have a visualization, a conceptual visualization of all sentient beings all around us.
what did I Simja de that Tamja and Dewa Doja Deva Miduba Dunga de Miduba Dunga and a pair Chigichala Chignan Yon Chig de la Chignan pe what are the Yon taking that round the cocoa that somebody was combat and the Dala Mibia and the Nije Dungele Dunga natural music Nije Dewa that tend to get chamba. What did it call?
And so that we also are fully aware that for all of the sentient beings all around us, they want happiness, but are bereft of that happiness. They want to avoid suffering, but they are inundated by suffering, from one suffering to the next, and to the next, and so on. And so, since we find this situation to be unbearable, we generate a sense of compassion, that which wishes to remove them from that suffering. And likewise, the mind that wants to place all sentient beings in happiness, we develop the loving kindness.
어디를 공부하셔? 와다 된대게 가서 대 저기 로다 간자제 된대게 다 저기 저 가서래 동해 나서를 미세베니 이제 대화대 된두고 잡아 와다 된대지 용알아야 다 가르고 그랬으나 아니 심제 탐제라 가서 대 심제 탐제라 가서 일이 차담내배 아니 가서래 다 가서 저
당뇨.
말이 다 간자 다 다니면 되지 거기로 왔다 되네 용알아 가르고 그랬어. 심지어 탐자 이왕기 잡아지 거로 이왕기 잡아지 매바이나 동해라 나처럼 미스바시 경고 말해 대화대 된두게 잡아지 용고 말해 근데 용알라 심지어 탐자 이동와 통하게 로다 내가 그러나 팬 도매라 맞아봐 심지어 인사배 자 때라 이왕기 이동에 잡아게 도와지 거로 왔다 근데 저 마중아이나 뒤 동해 나와라 미스바다 대화대 된두게 잡아서 용에 거는 매되겠지.
And so, of course, this compassion that's being referred to and this love that's being conferred to is very much important, that we not only see all sentient beings in an equanimous way, but that we are able to view all sentient beings through the lens of loving kindness, this affectionate love, and that this is so important, that we are able to see all sentient beings, not in terms of our personal relations with them, but through the fact that they're simply being sentient. They're simply being sentient beings is enough for my affectionate love, my loving kindness. And it's important to note that without degenerating this sense of closeness, this affection, that the compassion and the love that's been spoken of will not arise.
다 된대 용할래 다 된대 용할래야 그 좀세 삐다고 좀 매와이나 용두고 말아 아니 좀세 삐다고 용할라 아니 저게 가서래 심제타자 말셔봐 진짜봐 아니 진 속고와 어딘데 저나 용하게 잡아 개투래지 야매나 가서대 가서대 대화도제 동에 메도봐 이뭐 좀세도 제네 아니 저게 심제 수인의 대화도 되게 동에 메도봐 디 김천도 지나 아니 지가서 가서 동에 나와라 미세베 가서라다 지가서데 미세 다 데레 용할 데레기 돈에 아니 심자 삼자 이 동화 통과했지 다 데레 고좀 전에 매발라 거의 다 가스게 두고 말봐
And so, of course, such an attitude does not come about just by accident or somehow out of thin air. It has to be based on excellent, valid reasoning, and that these different reasonings are presented in as, for example, seeing all sentient beings as one's mother, as having played in that role for countless times. And that then we recall, based on that, the incredible kindness shown to us by the mother. And then thirdly, that in turn inspires a desire to repay that kindness. And so we get this sense of a warm, close feeling for all sentient beings in this way. And this can lead to this affectionate love. Similarly, and we can see that simply by the fact that all sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, and that all sentient beings have an equal kind of right to that happiness and to avoid that suffering, that on that basis, that reasoning, we can also develop this affectionate love.
다 된대게 아니 이왕게 잡아지 깨와네 잡아 이왕게 잡아지 아니 교환해 봐 삐다고 대야 권에 권도 패두게 용거 봐. 다 된대 말봐자 갑도라 이왕게 잡아 깨대봐이나 안 거제 좀제 사부 돈에 맞아 인사 거 주어 줘줘 차기로 와. 대부 매들지. 대부 매들게 좀 그래. 왔다데 내 인사 아니 지금 가서다 균대 명아 되네 이면 다시 냠제 거네 이면 간제 된대 거네 아니 이왕게 잡아 깨토 이왕이 잡아게 봐이나 딜라 동에 나와라 미세베 닝제도 이랑슈고 용토겠지 동에라 나वे 동에 나와라 미세베 닝제 중앙 이바이나 아니 대화다 되는 잡아 랑슈고 용토겠지 대대지 중앙 이바이나 아니 심제 탐제게 동에 탐제 대화 탐제 대화 녜 지긴서 학생들 랑슈고 용토겠지 고 찍을 찍대래도 봐 찍을 찍대래도 봐
And so that this kind of affectionate love that we're referring to is not conditional. It is something which is unchanging, it is valid, and it will go from strength to strength. It is unlike the occasional feelings of affection that we have towards either individuals or groups of individuals, which is often, unstable and unlasting. That here, because it is based on valid reasoning, this affectionate love that we're referring to is something which is solid and unchanging and ever increasing. And it is the basis on which we can then develop this beautiful love and this compassion, wishing to either place all sentient beings in happiness and remove them from every suffering. And this in turn leads to a great self-confidence of where we can personally take responsibility through a very special and exalted intention that I will be the one to do this. I will be the one to place all sentient beings in happiness and the causes of that happiness, and indeed to remove all suffering and the cause of suffering from sentient beings.
어디들도 다 되네 이거다 다디 루아다 좀제 거기서 뭐이고 tumbe 톤에 다 끼어온데 아니 거기서 학습 계통 거지 다 학습 계는 지가 좋아이나 다라 라야 레뉴게 시황제 임바 인자 안 제마도 바다 다 쳐버렸다 다 쳐봐 인데 되네 제도가 누바지 다 제조고 지그와 다 제조고 지그와 제조고죠 지금도 아니 제조인데 아니 semjega 투게 람라로바 뭐버서 산지고 왔다 된대 지금 공부하자 토바이나 하데 문에 제투에지를 샤삼자게 아니 산지가 연대 이통 통투가 중국으로 와 왔다 된대 공부하셔네 아니 랑게 되나 등게 나가로 뭐라게 진짜 자벨라마요 나봐 또봐 투야 온 거지 아니 셋업
So therefore, it's very, very important to base our aspirations on a valid reasoning, that we can see that there is a logical sequence to being able to live one's life and perceive one's life through this kind of lens. And that here it has to also abide with kind of like actuality. It's not something that is a fantastical or illogical. It has to abide in reality. And that this then can lead to this exalted intention that we remember of that really powerful personal responsibility for others' happiness and the removing of others' suffering. And then after that, of course, then we're back to reality again, isn't it? And knowing that that's all very well, but I'm still very much shackled by karma and afflictive emotions. And so the capacity to be able to do that right now is beyond me. But when I look to see in what state of mind is capable of actually actualizing these aspirations, and it is, you know, the mind that has got, for the sake of sentient beings, generated the mind of enlightenment, for the sake of all sentient beings, generated the whole path, and for the sake of sentient beings, then manifested full and complete enlightenment. In other words, in Buddhahood, enlightenment itself is the position from which I should then help sentient beings. And so it is with this in mind that we visualize such a being, the Guru Maninja Shakyamuni Buddha, in the space in front of us.
다 되게 라마 투베 온보데 아니 저 온가버 점바 아무 투어 홍고 이게 숨지 세다 아니 되게 이게 숨데래 왜서 빠도 매버 트네 아니 가서래 다 저기 감속이 심지 탐지하라 봐 왜서 트네 안 감속이 심지 탐지게 아니 저기 내가 그 내다 되라 소바다 아니 다가니 저 딕디 탐지 냠자 탐지 중다 그러다 내니 봐서와 근데 저거 이나야 앞에 가서랬다 왜세 딜라테네 아니 뭐 가서랬다 저기 되게 탐자 레디 바자 탐자 바 장소 상자 내도 되게 다 아니 내니 뭐 바자 탐자 바 장세 다와 야고 시우 중소 상자자 와다 된데게 때네 중에 아니 객사 되게 돼 아니 동속의 통치고 직대 감대 용서 아니 최배 수습 하다미 아니 가서도 최배제 나서봐가 가네 제 상보 나서봐 가네 아니 대단한데 초지 개와세다 저발 야 초바피 초지 개와세다 저발 초바피 와라 되네 초지 개와세다 저발 초바되게 다길시네 대다가 투규를 대화종 대외 동바제 대동니스와 이시께서 삼사자 아니 대대 개발할 때는 초지 개와세다 저발 규군네 대다게 구송동의 연대 임발라 나마 라마 투배원배 나마 젠타나 랑게 되나세다 라마 투배원고들 파팀네 아니 팀네 다 간자 니스 매바 교수 삼사제 어데네 공부하시나 다 간자 랑게 되나세 라마 투배원고때 아니 이시바 무엇을 쇼네 두소 산제 탐제가 다니도 교수 삼사제
So visualizing the Guru in Munindra in the space in front, we see that the figure is marked by the syllable Om at the crown, the syllable A at the throat, and the syllable Hung at the heart center. Light rays begins to emanate from the three syllables, and this is a countless and powerful light rays going out into all the three realms of existence and dissolving into all the sentient beings in all the three realms of existence. And they start this process of purification, dealing with the temporary impediments to practice, such as ill health, both of body and mind, and then purifying the karmas and the afflictive emotions, the karmas and the delusional attitudes of mind, as well as their imprints. The light, in fact, does that purification. And on the basis of this virtue that has been accumulated in this way, then this is made as an offering to all of the enlightened beings in all the 10 directions. All the offerings of celestial beings and human beings is included in this, and they accept these offerings gladly, experience a sense of bliss which combines with voidness, and they abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. And from that experience, then from their own heart centers, representing their qualities of body, speech, and mind, emanate aspects of themselves which come and dissolve into the Guru Manindra that we are visualizing in front. And we really feel that the Guru Manindra now has been received all of the wisdom beings within, and has become one with the Guru Manindra.
어디로지 아니 라야 랑고 되나 세다 라마 두베 오베 두가네 외세 줘발라 때나 옹글 하나 챈다 아니 대신 샤바나지 들라고 뭐 옹고도 셰 소하다르다 원래 옹고 출라마 제도네 원래 미케고 우제 되죠 어디로지 공부시
Again, the light rays emanate from the three syllables of the Guru Manindra, at this time inviting all of the empowering deities which come and confer the nectar of empowerment, some of which overflows at the crown, spontaneously producing the figure of the Buddha Akshobhya.
어디로지 다 간제 관계 가서 있네 어디 대화대 대화 동바제 대동예스면 이 시계 소서 어디에 양의 양도 공부 차도나 원래 랑줄에 대동계게 아니 바자샤에 개발 연구 여러 어디에 공부시 어디에
So this process of the offerings, the emanating light, and so on, and especially the combination of bliss and emptiness, and abiding in the wisdom of bliss and emptiness is very, very important to try and repeat again and again and again. And the main reason for this is to lay down the imprints in our own minds to be able to experience just such a combination of bliss and emptiness and abiding in such wisdom.
어디로지 안데네 심지어 탐제거든도 아니 산제기 고마 마다나 타면도 다 토바치기 삼삼전에다 토바치기 살티아 뇨아니도 토바치기 스테네 공바시 아니 데네 예베 로데 아니 랑게 랑게 더 심지어 탐제기 아니 두가라 아니 다해진 거 약간 가지고 교수 선서자 다 데네게 토바치기 나디야 아니 가서데 지금 나디야 토바치기 나디야 아니 라완의 두고 레도레 모두 제바체도 나디아 라완의 두고 두자 메바체 똑바 팔다자 니바체 니바니 네바니네 아니 데네게 똑바 팔다 로까지 라완 두고 두자면도 선은 데네 가샤 가잠 네베 로데 네바 데라 셈샤 아니 데네 네베 로데 가서데 도지가고 쟁가바체라 주 아니 뼈마 가서 다외经过 的 랑담 이게 데레 공부시 뒤 타고도 되면서 다야도 뭐니 마음을 야도 공부시 아니 랑도 되나서 라마 도배한 거 두갈래 다와도 이제 쟁가 아니 다야도 뭐니 마음을 꼬되게 되게 요바지 공부시
And so again, our contemplating this desire to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and this a kind of continuous special affirmation that we have. I will be able to do this. I will do this. I will be able to attain such a state, and I want to do this as quickly as possible. This mindset of bodhicitta, or the mind of enlightenment, is now represented by a white moon disk at our own heart center. And then this exhortation that we're making of I will attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, we begin the analysis of that I, that self, and that, in investigating to what extent is it self-powered or arising independently. And we're going through the analysis to a mere negation of the object of negation, and placing our mind on that, the absence of the object of negation, and the mere absence of that object of negation gives rise to a five-pronged Vajra, which is now standing upright on the moon disk at our heart center, representing wisdom. And around that Vajra and on the moon disk is the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha, Tayata Muni Muni Mahamuni E Soha. And this is, of course, repeated. This three combination of moon disk, mantra, and Vajra is repeated at the heart center of the Guru Manindra in the space in front also.
And then what are the Gobashan Tendeke Dawa Doje Zengabate, do Namia Tangimes, do Namia Tangimes, some of water, and the data Sosugeta, subject Tamjeg Dun Duvegeta, Mata Sarot, capital Sorota, T, Chajuga Tony Tobisha, Titin Namia Tangime, Titanda, Tandada, Chema Sujaga, Samatanwarita, T, and Rumatoba, Chima Maimbe Warju, Chuma dea, Kona Kondo Penny. tar 상계계 가서데 투규계 가서데 다가자자 투규계 가서데다 돈이 니지 님보지가 남게 뭐를 주에 같이 맞아 삼사 어디 거 남의 땅이면 삼사 어디를 공부해.
And so we focus on this combination of the moon disk of bodhicitta, the Vajra upright, representing wisdom, and the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha all around. And we really understand what it is symbolizing. And we really make a powerful vow never to forsake this attitude of enlightenment and the wisdom. And that, we see this as something which is like our capital in order to build upon for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is something through my own habituation and application that I will be able to refine and improve continuously so as to be of more and more benefit to more and more sentient beings.
다 가자 저기 나라저기 디 다가자 소소라 밀리게 왔다 안 된적을 리된 토바다 상기게 땜바다 제바게 아니 저기 고쳐 봤다 미닝풀이 연다 땜바 미닝풀 연다 마요다 다디 소소 딱복가자 잡도면 디 공배도 가자 땅도면 다 알려라 디 딱고 야고 잡도봐 디 공배도 야고 땅도바나 아니 소소 밀리 렘바데 미닝풀 잡 된적을 리된 예바데 미닝풀 잡 상기게 땜바다 제바데 전다도 meaningful 차기로 와 어다들이 영화다 뭐여데 디소속에 다보 가자 잡도바 디까지 공배도 땅토마도라 달래 되도 디마도 못 잡았잖아.
And so, of course, that we are moving from a position of a kind of a lack of perhaps a genuineness in our aspirations, that we want to move through that into it being something which is genuine, spontaneous, constant in our approach to life. And so here it's a good position to refer or remind ourselves that we have this amazing advantage of being born as a human being. Not only that, but we have the leisures and endowments associated with a precious human rebirth. We have met with the teachings. We feel we have an affinity with these teachings. And so, we are exhorted to make this life meaningful, as something which is precious and rare. And so how do we do that? There is no more superior way of doing it than to habituate ourselves to the moon disk of bodhicitta, the Vajra of wisdom, and to make it more and more genuine in our whole life and our whole stance. And we can do nothing more valuable nor more meaningful in life than to continuously protect the extent to which we have developed those minds so far.
근데 여자 아니 그래서 야는 양도 다 뒤기도 쇼게다 셰모고지 야는 양도 아니 저게 된대기 가서데 닝지 뿌다 보게라 아니 저게 마셰 진제 진소 이왕게 잡아 야보게 두야지 다가네 시기야 딱시 냠제 코네 가서데 다간제 대화도 동에 미도와 뒤도네 돈에 아니 가서데 디도네 다간제 가서데 이용하게 잡았게 두었지. 디게 말할 때는 아니 미드베다 되게 주변에서 동해 나올 미스베 니제 용대. 미 용대. 아니 대화도 그 잡아야. 아니 항상 깨도. 근데 항상 깨왜 깨내다 제가 도 제마도 되게 제도 그 니바도 술라도 아니 심지어 투게 라는 거 봐서 산제와 디 연대 통할 거네. 아니 심지어 당대 산제 구마 두바 지gin사 대야 뇨니도 두바 지가 되게 장주가 좀 주마 순제게 개투바지 아니 데데께네 야 데데께베 로데 아니 삐다보다 아니 교함에와다 때도 내저도 어디 지가 소래 다외 증권냐 그래서 이게 아주 아다외 증권냐 그거지 아니 대야 아니 더 셰라고 더다 잡아 더도 아니 돈이도 왜 셰라고 양 공부셔 돈이도 왜 셰라고 공부셔 대야 다와도 이제 생각없어 아니 데 야네 양도 데 삼로다는 그 검직자 어다 니마지 겨 샤베 야네 양도 삼로다 뒤주여나 야네 양도 삼로다 디 고베도 당답제는 야네 양도 삼로다 바 이나더네 니바 체데 다다다 주마 순제면도 요 말이 돼 이네 남시나 주마 많이 받게 되지 주마 많이 받다 야 관에 관도 변에 아니 계속 다니 집어 두기로 예배 아니 자주 그서다 돈이 또 배시라는 시세다 데스게 돼요 코나서야 당보 가라서 내 당보 하지 야네 양도 주마 순제가 삼로 땅네 아니 공배도 신대와 저와 네가 이 방은 좀 어쩌겠다 라게 카운트도다 제도와 제리 계신 버려도 어째
So this is it is a process which requires constant, endless repetition. It's not enough to kind of settle on a morning session and then for the rest of the day leave it so. It's something that we must bring to mind again and again and again and again and again. Like what we're trying to do is develop this sense of compassion. It's a really vast intention, and this love in reference to all sentient beings, regardless. It's just the very fact that they are sentient is enough to give rise to that compassion from our own heart center and this love. And so, we have the techniques of the 7 cause and effect instruction through seeing all sentient beings as one's mother, remembering the kindness of the mother, generating the wish to repay that kindness and leading to that affectionate love, etc. Or we can approach it from the equalizing and exchange of self and others, of seeing the benefits of cherishing others versus and opposed to the terrible disadvantage of self-cherishing and swapping one over for the other. And that is the way in which we can, as it were, more professionally approach the generation of these mind states. But it all depends on how much we are able to integrate this into our lives and how often we're able to bring it to mind in all of our interactions. So it's kind of like, we are generating a state of mind which, when we perceive suffering, we automatically find it to be unbearable. This is the quality of compassion. It is that which encourages us to, to do whatever we can when we see the sentient beings experience happiness, that we celebrate, that we want to bring that to all sentient beings. And this generates this kind of special intention of saying, okay, this is all very well, but I know I have to attain the state of enlightenment to be able to bring this off. And that, we generate We recall the qualities of enlightenment, of the body, speech, and mind of an enlightened being, and that we generate the attitude to quickly be able to attain this state, to generate that beautiful mind of enlightenment, which becomes something stable, unchanging, spontaneous, and ever increasing. And the wisdom of emptiness, we deepen that, we refine that by again reflecting on it again and again and again and again and again. And to the point where, you know, our application, our reflection, and our engagement through those two mind states is very close or indistinguishable from the great bodhisattvas themselves. And so it's kind of like something that has to become like second nature for us.
What did it? What are the Gomacha? Any ranges, Ningi Uso, T. Kodu in 24 hours, 7 days, Yovachen. Any rangi, they do Nedan Kande Chavana, Dewachuna, Tungachuna, Yabuchuna, Yabachuna, T. Negam today, Kotakatema Kama, T. Chuma, T. Any Janjuga Semgi, Yamlega Tungela Totua. Yana Tony to be Shiraki and Yamlega Tungela Totua Chage, that did on a Pejutan to watch it. Because Namju Monzo, Dewachuna, Tungachana, Yomo, Tata Pejutan to Dua. 다네 손도 전주고 슝디 장와라 되나 로조 그 슝디 장와라 되나 다 녀모라 구급제데 슉슉을 따네 잔주고 섬다 돈이도베 셰라를 파 구급제도 와서야지 다들 고 제벌로네 남주 녀모라 구급제 저거 요바데 기파 고도제다 디 구급도 마테 와체 다 상보주나 녀바주나 혼내가 버체데 디 시우시우지 모두 가서 무튼의 동안다 무튼의 대화 용대 가요마 내가 저거 다디 장주가 생게 대화 주나 동안지 장주가 생게 냠래라 배주 땅 주는 다 때도 되게 중요하죠 돈에도 왜 셔럽게 아니 냠래라 배주 땅도 왔잖아 때도 되게 용하게 아니 줄라 배주 땅도 왔디다 나라도 로중고 슝딜라 때는 띵 하고 왔잖아 다디 가서 컵도 고급 샘토와 샘토에 저도 대닝이 위해서 디 냐잖아 디 컵도 마 배주 땅도가 제제다 뒤에 삼사자는 점마다 시신의 송전 아니 배주 땅도가 제대 개치 모래도 배드 녀모라 파 배자자 녀모게 갑도 배주 땅도고 와 나라도 가서 차시 고구모도 갑도 배주 땅도고 왔다 뒤에 배주 땅 왔다는 거서 내가 도 말은 무드는 동안에 주도 상보주나 예바주나 가야 켜봐도 거의 무드는 동안에 거의 줄라 배주 땅도고 다디 누구도 이마 모터네 다 가르쳐도 다 장주가서 돈이 또 셔라가 튕겨를 줘도 제지 다 뒤째도나 되는 가소래 달배 미지 돈다 대바 차야 다 가리 중앙에 디기 귤을 줘대 용 거죠 디기 귤을 줘대 용 거지 와다 된대 제투에라 다 먼저 니게 위해서 돈이 또 셔라 장주가 쓰고 있는 니게 위해서다 고바시에는 야에 대 들와 다와도 이제 생각봐 냐고에 좀 센데 들어 두고도 와 좋아.
So therefore, we have to take a 24/7 approach to this goal and this situation. And therefore, it's kind of like really also whatever situation arises for us, we know exactly what we do, whether it's happiness or suffering, that we only ever see it as conducive condition to increasing our loving kindness and compassion, our mind of enlightenment and our wisdom, realizing emptiness. And so it's that change in our attitude to be able to, we are in control of using the situation to create the causes for happiness, whereas, you know, we have been too long dominated by mental affliction, which it has controlled us in grasping the situation only to create more causes for suffering. And so we are completely changing the paradigm here, that you know, we are understanding that if we are able to proceed by seeing all situations regardless as simply conducive conditions for increasing the mind of enlightenment and increasing one's understanding of emptiness, then we are through both avenues increasing the chances for us to experience definite happiness, happiness that does not change. And that is something completely new paradigm for us. So it is a kind of situation now where we must grasp the opportunity at every turn to be able to apply our thinking and our understanding of the mind of enlightenment and the wisdom realizing emptiness, and and indeed to be able to employ our mindfulness and alertness in this job as well. That is that which reminds us of what we should be doing, and also reminds us of whether we are on task, that we are really able to concentrate as we should. This is changing the whole paradigm from our being used by mental friction, our being used by our own suffering to revolve endlessly for countless eons in cyclic existence. And so, again, when we talk about leading a meaningful life, this is the paradigm shift that we are talking about, that whatever is occurring for us becomes only a cause for our future happiness.
어디를 공부했다. 되는데 랑게 되나 라마투베 온부들라 당에 때와 이지게 때와 뭔도게 때와 아니 랑게 타고니 심자 담제일라 동해게 나줘라 무수베게 닝제 때와한테 두게 잡아 그러와 안데 게 두긴 있어서 다 두가 줘도 좀 다 세보래 아니 된다 두네 그 술라던 되나서 라마투베 온부라 또 대고만만 타고 또 같이 사자 고마시네 대한 유한이도 두 같이 대제도 다 로종고 슝 된대지 안베 냠네 지주면에다 그 용다 거라 매되겠지 용다 거라 매되겠지 이거 이제 아니 로종고 슝티 다 얘기 삼사 어디에 고마샤 미유딜 때네
And so this brings again forth this triple faith, the pure faith, the manifest faith, and the faith of conviction. We are also keeping our mind on all the sentient beings all around us, of that holding that compassion, wishing to remove their suffering, this love, wishing to place them in every happiness, and also this sense of this renewed confidence of I can do that. I will be able to do this. And again, looking to the state of mind that is capable of that, and that is the Guru Manindra that we are visualizing in front. And so this is the state I must attain. I must do so as quickly as I possibly can. I must seek the means by which the mind training that will be able to lead to that situation. And that comes from such texts as the very text that we are about to study, the Bodhisattva's way of life.
지금 타바다 탐제 교벌 두발라 다다 로정고 쇼데 냠내 저거데 시에 먹어자 아니 지금 코아가 내버려라야 소소게 지금 내가 위에 동해 매바 소야다 다 로정고 중데데 냠내 지지 매나 내가 왜 동해 뇽도 줘야 지금 탑 매든 저래도 다 로정고 동해 타바다 탐제 교벌 줄을 좋아 시에 먹어봐 도나 내가 왜 아니 소소게 지금 니기와 세라 좋아쳐 아니 지금 가라도 지도를 땜바 차대요. 아니 조금 나자이나 참바. tum바. 용화대가 된대 로정의 슝지 된대 냠내 제면 그 용화 거라면도 와. 다 로정의 슝데 냠내 지조에는 다 타바다 담자점부터 시에 먹어. 내가 그 소소를 튕게 지금 대외 대화만 되게 그가 로정의 슝데 지내 용화제 이보다 라트야 거라도 와. 도와. 나디 좋아. 되게 도와.
And so we engage in these, we study these texts in order to train the mind. That's why they're referred to mind training texts. And the goal is to attain liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment. That goes without saying. But we must remember also that while in cyclic existence, the mind training that we can engage in is of inestimable value to us. It's in terms of generating temporary happiness for us, in terms of reducing the suffering of our everyday existence. It's indispensable, really. And we shouldn't forget this, that even for the quality of our sleep and our relations with other people, the capacity to reduce the amount of hassle and suffering that we experience is all to the extent to which we have developed these mind training techniques. And so it's also very important in the short term.
그래. 가서래 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 다 가지지 최켈레나다 최켈말레나다 녀몽께서는 미수네 기보여 말. 저 가리 켈링게 임바이네. 나바이네다 가지 임바네 이슈 임바네 힌두 임바네 제니 뭐 출로 가리 임바이 켈링게 임바네 녀몽께서는 기보여 말. 최켈말레게네 녀몽께서는 기보여 말. 녀몽 매서나 최켈말레게네 출로 가리지 켈링게 임바이네 녀몽 마게네 기보여 와. 기보여라. 다도 가서래 가서 뭐이네서로 와. 뭐이네서로 당가라도 미드베 동에 용해데 최가리 켈레만 최켈레만 계절에모도 녀모게만 잘해도 와. 녀모게나 기부면도 녀모 맞게나 기부도 도와. 다 들려도 와. 다 간제다 로중거 시간 된데 그 가르치고서 녀모게 숙청보 여기 숙충다다 숙충조 여기한테 맞춘다는 매고도 답지기도 와. 그래도 와. 다 되잖아 기부 용도 그 기부 교문에들 해도 와.
So, it's very, very clear, isn't it, that whether one accepts a spiritual path or not, one has to deal with the reality of mental affliction. That means, like, whether one is a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Jain tradition or any other of the Buddhist traditions, that it's all about the degree to which one is able to deal skillfully or not with the arising of mental afflictions. That the relationship is simply that if we have less mental affliction, we have more happiness. And I don't think anybody can argue with that. And it's very clear. It's not really a religious matter. It's just a matter of whether one is either has the techniques to deal with mental affliction effectively or not. And so we advocate that mind training is the process by which we can initially reduce the impact of mental afflictions to make them smaller, with the ultimate goal of eradicating them altogether. So it's dealing directly with the issue.
어디래도 아니 최켈레멜에다 미 야보 요메데 녀몽게 샤와도 슈체조다 녀몽게 샤와 슈체 뭐 이거 미디 저와도 자용 것도 녀몽게 샤와 슈슈가 이거도 저와 야가 용 것도 아니 줄로 낭 벤조 이바이네 거다 녀몽게 라과 슈체 뭐 여바이나 나바이네 나바인 라바이네 나바이들 죽으면 도와 힌두 이바이네 힌두들 죽으면 도와 정보잖아 아니 가제다 익수다 가리인바네 녀몽가 샤와도 슈청부터나 뒤거서 뒤슈쳐다 힌두인의 힌두 비다고 가지인의 가지 비다고 이슈인의 이슈 비다고 낭바인의 낭바 비다고 저기도 엔 최케말레가 제바 이바이나야 녀몽 슈청도 청도 따바이나 최케말레가 미데 미비다고 저기도 딱제 출로 가리인바네 디 연대 예메데 녀몽게 아니 가서도 샤와도 숙청도 청도 담아나 디 출로 디 미피다다 통고도 아니 좀 개말랭이나 디데지도 다 간자 마마 도사도 녀모로 도대도
And so one can witness this for oneself, regardless of whether we're observing somebody following a spiritual tradition or not, that if they have reduced their mental afflictions, they are seen to be a better person, their behavior is seen to improve, etc. Conversely speaking, if one is claims to be a Buddhist but is kind of very much controlled by coarse mental affliction, then they can't be said to be a true practitioner of that tradition. Similarly, for anybody who says they're a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, that if they are demonstrating, a wanton disregard for others' well-being, then they can't really be said to be a practitioner of that particular tradition, that they haven't been dealing with the mental afflictions. And even for somebody who has no spiritual tradition, an atheist, that we can see that they still have to work with their mental affliction in their lives. And if they are on top of them, if they can really deal with those mental afflictions better, we will see that their own behavior, their own reputation, their whole attitude is something that will improve, no doubt. And so it's really a question of whether or not, or to what extent or not, you are able to cope with your mental afflictions.
주로 간이번에 주도디 비다보 용마용데 되게 디 냠내 지금 수고 녀모 숙충의 충의 그 냠내 제바이나 냠내 숙 라바디 숙충의 충의 와데 마 충의 다와이나 아니 주로의 연대도 통고다 주로 간갈 연대 누가 냠내 야보 지금도 간갈 연대 누가 와다데 가르쳐서 그 녀모게 시황도 땅다 마당을 투되기도 다 간제 되게 되다 거기 가서데 산계 송래 지제 쓰고 말 거도 녀모 쓰는데 거 나라도 랑시 수이네 너겐 짐바래 딜라 딱 갑대 맞아나 탐에 되게 저 내가 위는다 아니 땡게 디기래 너고 요래 다 된대 임바이서 오다 로종고 숑디즈 로아페나 믹스게 거도 라 녀모게 샤완도 줘 랑게 더 되게 돼 녀모도 샤완도 주게 된대 코에게 대베도 로종고 냠내 된대 지주 매바이나 가도 이네세 마지바전 대래도 달로 좀 남네 된데 제 여바이나 아니 코아스 동해게 라시 레데 이나야 야 셈흘르제 대투에지 아니 딜라테네 동해게 라시 딜라테네 로종가 남네 되게 되네 텐도 동해 매버 소예게야 되게 규지 두두고도 규주다 내가 로종가 남네 딜라테네 용두고도
And so when we are able, when we view the practitioners of any spiritual tradition, and we see that they are reducing the impact of mental afflictions in their lives and in their attitudes towards others, then we are actually seeing the true qualities of that spiritual tradition. And so it's like, really, it's mental affliction is that which must be opposed. That is that which is only going to harm our aspirations for happiness. And so it says, like, if we are in cyclic existence, that means like we are here because of the control that mental affliction has over our mind. And so when we have mind training, it is that which is directly opposed to that control. It wants to wrest control from the mental afflictions. And so that even whilst in cyclic existence, if we are operating through our mind training to reduce mental affliction, then we are going to abide in a great deal more well-being for ourselves. Not only that, but we have the capacity to create the causes by which we will attain liberation from that cyclic existence. And so this is the point behind the study of mind training texts, that we can integrate what is being learned from those texts into our everyday life and to apply it in all situations. And this is what mind training is about. Sokdrang Niga Nishu Zap Som. The Niba Nubala Nagil Chawala Nga.
Well, Naja Chawala, Nacha, that can just that can show an issue because of the Junju, that Lutin by in that Junju Geshe shoot that Tirwaka, Lelu Tirwa. Lelu Lata, because of the cousin Shubanisha, Chawangasika Lelo, Kilibel Lelo, Daniel and Yebel Lelo, Stakaja. 땅에 제투고 말인 게 두고 말서 다들 누가 야 토다 땅 것도 와 토다 마다나 제투고도 와 왔다들 라레 가서다 니바 누바라자 나제 자와라 나제 왔다 누바라 나제 매베 니바제 나제 제베 페유제 그래서 가서 니모 나제라 니바 자와제 뉴몽베 나제 자와 미리바제 다 니모 나제 게 페유 노제 와데 sabja 나제
And so we are going through the chapter known as enthusiastic effort. And in the early parts of this chapter, it outlined the main obstacles to generating such enthusiastic effort as being three aspects of laziness: the laziness of being attached to negative actions, the laziness of a kind of despondency of the idea that, oh, I can't possibly do that, I couldn't, defeatism, and then the laziness of procrastination, of putting it off time and time again to a later date. And so it's the chapter is countering all of these different types of laziness, and we have arrived at looking at the concept of self-confidence, of a powerful self-confidence, and that here looking at the capacity, the generating a capacity for such self-confidence in 5 different subheadings. And so the first is that the lack of, looking at the fault of having a lack of such self-confidence. The second is the benefits of acting through such self-confidence. The third is the abiding in that self-confidence as antidote. And the fourth is how incorrect it is to actually adopt the afflicted pride, the afflicted pride. And the fifth is the benefits of the confidence related to the antidote.
다 당보대 가서다 뉴발랑 가서다 뉴발랑 가제 메베 녀바니서 로 뉴발랑 가제 메베 소소 투바데 뭐 맞죠바체 아니 소소 투고모도 삼사 제반 안 딜러 소소 다디 투바지 용거 말이었어 때데 그것에 디 교육가리 용거였으나 시외 주단 태조나 카야 카덴 다보죠 게데 다니 냠초나 동아 중요해 넣어봤죠 shumje zowan do la pong le taba yedam ji se.
And so the first of these outlines was the fault which is involved in a lack of such confidence. And, this going back to the laziness of defeatism, of, oh, I can't do this, or I'm too weak-willed to be able to make an effort. And so it deals with this point in verse number 52 and the first half of 53, where it reads, "When crows encounter a dying snake, they will act as though they were eagles. Likewise, if my self-confidence is weak, I shall be injured by the slightest downfall. How can those who out of faint-heartedness have given up trying find liberation because of this deficiency?"
간제 지금 가서 다 지금 다른 지금 마도면 거기 두고에 삼다 삼다고 다른 밀레게 마세 아니 지금 대적을 류달게 대적을 류되니 산지게 땜받았지 다 된대그 뒤주처럼 게 마도바 이나다가 투베그 뒤주 자원 국업 자원이나 용거 말해 삼다 띵 예바제치 그러와 예바제치 아니 박도도 단다 지금 소소의 지금 대셔다 간지 돈에 지금 냠내 제투에다 냠내 제투에게 여기 누바치도가 누바서 다 간사 알리 지금 먼저 체력물이 대바에는 간사선 대셔 냠내 나도 뭔가 용어도 미국가서 대셔 냠내 아니 지금 도와들 용어도 다 된대 많이 봐서 소소 대셔 야타주 요데 그 최승인데 가서 난 삼로고 돈에 제일 뭐 인상 난 삼로고 돈에 다이고 누바데 두가 다다 아니 된대 그거들은 게 제마도는 다 제마도를 가와요 제투그를 써서 똑게 보여다 툭툭하지 와이게 최승은 너무나 갑자기 자야면 그 숙제라고 그렇게 말봐야 숙제는 어떤가 수부 돕시라면 연구 말했어요 중국어로 그 갑자기 자야 너무나 자야 뭐 인상 너무나 자야 뭐 인상 아니 너무도 못 쳐봤잖아 아니 너무도 깨 맞춰 봤지 깨 맞춰 봤잖아 어다 되게 너무도 뭐 야菜龙啊，这 녀모菜야야龙的 녀모的那个出的这个话，他感觉第二话他第嘛，我当本来说被小了开了，当年都不嘛的是的，俺这个他说的 녀모 충종질에 갑대 자마도 받는 연구를 봐. 어디 숨고도 와. 대숨고 열어. 배나 10회 주다 제조나스타 누가 자원이나 매긴 게 아니라 주고 로제다 제바나 카다야 카다다 로다 카다서다 가서 작하다 된 속에 안에 가서다 카딘 따보자 배자 그거는 가서다 배 가서다 다 이걸 소리도 쓰고 가서 다 간제 카딘 가서 저기 잔 똑쳐 뭐 누바쳐 뭐 이거 되게 아 디너시 지그래서 이제는 얘다 주고 그랬어 가서도 투주 땅 그랬어 그러다 답 교화들 투주 땅 그걸 조달지래도 왔지다 조달을 빼는 것도 계급이 잡식이 조달 먹고 다가로 와 걔가 중간님 주주 저거 내라고 저거도 야또 쳐뭐 이것도 쉬우쉬우 제도에서 그 말 왔다 왔다 간제 어디를 저다 지금 들리 영으로 다 녀답 줘봐. 대신도 개대 단위 냠촌다 소소가 소소가 저 제투에 누바도 소소 공부도 땅마도 봐좀 뭐마 줘봐 이나 아니 두고 말해 삼자다 가서 단위 누베 가게게 해서 냠충아이나 되게 또 마도 저는 뭐마 줘 되는 동아 충조질에 아니 녀바 충조질에 갑대 짜마도 충고이자 아니 소소가 무투네 가서 됐다 가서 녀바 사야 교대 대야 안에 가서 녀바 체드 사야게 아니 튕겨를 줘대서 녀바 제베 아니 다 방송 찍고 했어 바다 대바 찍고 했어 좋아 방송 전에 녀바도 마고에 방송 찍고 했어 자 다니게 돈 자체 못 줘발았어 삼마마 쇼바 다 소소게 되게 라버리세 다른 밀게 뒤에 대적을 류된데 산지 지금 아니 삼로 단다가 녀바도 야타주 요 다다 차라 아니 다가네 최선 조제 나 삼로 돈에 제래 삼로 돈에 제래 어떤 데서도 내 주마도 그네 용 삼사 다른 집 마주는데 거기 줍도 그랬어 또 깨는 삼바 가서 삼바 슈바 젠에 조에 좀바도 나 폼바 교회 다지 되는 삼슈드는 아니 뭐서 라레 땅마 땅마도 지그라 폼바 교회는 남야 타바 유담 치데 매비죠 다들 저와이나 아니 남야 지다 타바다 탐제 겸바 쓰게 열에 녀모의 생각을 실라 주요 말때 이나야 소소되네 타로 준 거라서 뒷남이야 연구 말했어요 다 다다지 제토베 깔로 지금 맞아봐 이나 아니 되네 타로 뒷남이야 연구 말했어 다 다른 국업 상황도 매등해서 다 다른 국업 양식에 밀려래 산재가 땜바데 제 땜바데 제와 맞아 소소가 삼로다에 누바데 야타주 요래 다 최선의 삼로다에 누바데 냠소나 수부터 없지 보이네 평균만 도와 규자라 연애 평균보다 삼로가 누바데 냠소나 다 삼로 누바 여바들 국업도 셈래 아니 최두바 추버도 제가 그랬어 what's 텔레자 닝도 깨봐 그거래서 깨고도 셔보자
And so that, again, to point out again, to always kind of remind ourselves of what we have, what we can do, the kind of extraordinary, unique position that we find ourselves in, and that we have a human alive. This is the reality today, that we have attained a precious human rebirth, and that we have met with the teachings, and that now is the time for us to really act, to really work on our mind training, and that, to gain real conviction that this is the time, this is the opportunity, and therefore I must not lose, I must not compromise this opportunity. And so it's kind of like to say, to get into your mind state, to say nothing is going to faze me, and that I am going to proceed with the twin attitude of the mind of enlightenment and the wisdom realizing emptiness. I am directly going to oppose the mental afflictions whenever and however they arise. To understand also that, because I am emphasizing the now, to work now, I realize that this opportunity is not unlimited. It is going to reduce in its effectiveness, because it's often the case as I age, my ability to reason, my ability to employ mindfulness and alertness is very much compromised as well. And so even with a long life, that capacity to apply my antidotes perfectly is going to be reduced. And so now is the time I need to habituate myself so that they become a second nature. So it's an opportunity I have now, and when I have it, I should go for it full bore. I should really apply it 100% to directly, again, to do everything I can to directly oppose the mental afflictions, so that, the point that they no longer arise, that it's kind of pointless for them to try and control my mind because I have all the antidotes in play and that they don't have an opportunity. And so it's kind of very, very important not to listen to that, that little voice in our heads of saying, no, you can't, you are weak, that this is not the time for that. And we know ourselves how we have that tendency to, quickly dominate that which is weak, but rather a great deal more circumspect when it comes to that which appears to be strong. And so we have to change that ability to kind of really overcome the weak and the strong in terms of mental affliction when they give that appearance to our minds, and to overcome, everything, not to give in to defeatism, so that, in this particular instance where it talks about being overcome by a small thing, like, where the crows approaching a dying snake give the attitude of acting like eagles because they're able to overcome something which is now weak. But in reality, that is not the way they would behave towards a snake. And so in this case too, we don't want to be in a situation where we are kind of like pretending to overcome something because it is a small thing, but to again, leave it when it's kind of that mental affliction is at full strength, as it were. So again, to remind ourselves, I'm a human being. I have the precious human rebirth of leisures and endowments. I have met with the Buddha Dharma. I have some affinity with the teachings. I have some knowledge of mind training, and that this is the time I need to apply this, and to know that when we talk about engaging in Dharma practice, we're talking about what our thinking is. It's all about what's going on inside of your own mind. And this is then, the point at which we can do it. We can engage in the mind of enlightenment, the wisdom realizing emptiness. I'm acting now. This is the time. And that I've still got the ability to reason, which is very important. And so I'm going to really emphasize this point, and not to kind of emphasize the, possessions and objects and so on, but it's actual refining and the training of the treasure of our mind, that capacity to oppose mental affliction. That's really what I should be investing in and applying. And so I am not going to lose sight of the main issue and oppose the mental afflictions. And it's saying here in the text that if we are like these crows, acting like eagles in the face of a weakness in a snake, then it's kind of like we may think we have this confidence, but it's going to be found out as something which is paltry and very diluted when even a small obstacle appears to us, and we'll be, overcome by that. And we need to develop the idea of, say, I will never be downhearted or discouraged, no matter how, because I'm realizing what an amazing, meaningful and vast purpose I am working towards, and that I will not give up. I will always keep trying, and that this is the important thing. Otherwise, we're going to be like the crow-like mind, to kind of like really where it asks, how can those who out of faint-heartedness have given up trying find liberation because of their weak-hearted attitude?
그대로 다 가져 란신 그 돈 같이 뭐 두고 삼바 삼바데 아니 슈바 제와 이나 아니 Joe Zamba do ala so Pomba Jue. Namyang Kasa Chita Meba Josa, Chita Tendeza, Ningdo Gary the Getchimoshi, what I got Ningdo the Getchimo, Takaja Naranzola, Tende Ruapena, Duega Nuba Yume Tan, Nuba Yuba the quantum to what you grew up. And Nomo de single ranchilla, shoe your marite, shoe your marite, in a during one of Kobashu where you were. And Tamshita medical Pongo, the way necessarily Dimarwa. We because Gen Lobo at the 10 young dig your call single ranchilla, show him a single ranchilla, we are 7. No more to never memory. And Nibo top there, you're Nomongo, Nibote, no more time to go does it, but Nibo Tameto was Sherade. And Tameto was Sherade. There's a Tameto was Sherade, and it goes on the Japan at Sama Yobare. Take over no combat Tameto pair yore. No more but Lord Tubachi Onge. Lord Tubachi Onge, you dig yore. Tam come on go shoot some younger, but call it Japan Sama Yomari. Japan Sama Mesa, call Namshinati, Nibo. Top ten get on the Namshina, and call Niva Chichon the China, what then the member chat or what or chat to you. What are the gay because of the no you get nature the Shiba Chena, no you get nature the Shiba Chena to because of the dark of the Bezavina called Chetukures, what that gets you the call single Jordan the Yago Shiba Chena, and it ranches and that doesn't matter what get my get them what to Chena, and 단지 마리바 겨운데 마리바 겨에 대냐 뭐 다음에 또 배셔라 검토했지 란체제 겨에 대냐 뭐 아니 현재제 겨도 버서 란체제 겨 고도 만나서 현재제 그 연도 고도 만나 삼았다네 아니 현재제 겨도 버지지 그러다 전진 오래다 뭐 되게 겨도 버자 뒤니고 공부를 한 것도 그 남래 좋은데 되라 도대로 어디래
So what it's calling for at the end of this verse is really to understand that we have this great purpose for which we can achieve, that we aspire to, that we can achieve. And what it's really calling for is great courage of mind to have a kind of like a unbreakable aspiration to keep going until you achieve your goal. And that and this is when this outline is talking about the capacity within that mind of self-confidence, and it's really trying to fulfill that capacity. And that capacity of self-confidence is the point at which you do not allow mental affliction to have any part of your thinking. And that it is this placing this in context as well. We understand, that of course we're going to have these afflictive minds arise, but we must understand that they are not an inherent part of our mind, that they exist and they have agency only because of habituation. And that this is a crucial point, that the mind, the actual nature of our mind is that of which is clear light, and that the mental afflictions are there because of being habituated to them. We have the two main main issues that we have, that of self-cherishing and self-grasping. The self-cherishing attitude has its antidote in the cherishing of others, of realizing the faults of self-cherishing, the benefits of cherishing others, and changing that whole perception. There's the other fault of self-grasping, the self-grasping at the true existence of a self-entity. And the specific direct antidote to that is the wisdom of selflessness. And so there's a kind of like an, how do you say, quintessential difference between the generation of the mind which cherishes others and the wisdom realizing emptiness, between the capacity to generate those minds and the arising of mental affliction, be it in the form of self-cherishing or self-grasping. And that is that the former arise in terms of valid reasoning. They are backed up by valid reasoning, whereas the latter, the afflictive minds, the mental afflictions, are arising purely out of habituation. Now, we have to admit that that very habituation has a great deal of power over us at present. But the very fact that it is not backed up by valid reasoning means that it can not only be reduced and opposed, but it can be eradicated completely. And so overturned is because of the nature of mind itself. And so here it's important for us to have that in mind as well, that because it's built up through, the power is built up through habituation, it can be opposed through habituating to its opposite. Again, and these opposite minds are indeed founded on, backed up by valid reasoning. The idea of cherishing others, the idea of the wisdom realizing emptiness, that these can be developed to their perfection state, a point at which there is no possibility of mental affliction at all. The second of these subheadings is the benefits of acting through self-confidence. The rest of verse number 53 and 54 deal with this point. But even the greatest obstacle will find it hard to overcome one with a firm mind. Therefore, with a steady mind, I shall overcome all falls. For if I am defeated by a fall, my wish to vanquish the three realms will become a joke.
Dönyi drupala rwata kata randun da shendun nika tachima drupala ane dende drup tuwa yume de semga rangshe kasa de ta kasa semga rangshe la ane jime leba shuma shoda ta nguyu ki nesu de kata kanga shinku kutuwa ane rik tube gila rik tube dewu yongdan ta rwata kacha je koya zawa tanze marikwa nyingba ta ti nipo tame tobe shira yindan ta ta kacha nguyu ki nesu dige de ta 가서 되게 뭐유게 내초 되게 시바이나 아니 들렸대 디야 아니 가서도 최종의 시합 잘 살아먹잖아 디 이바데 아니 가서 김장 먹고네 아니 예반이다 전에 가서도 다 가자 예반이네 가서래 다 가서도 삼중의 시합이야 삼중의 시합 돼야 아니 들은 예반이바들 아니 검중의 시합 깨도 봐지는 와다 되게 전에 초삼 검사 야마데 와져야 되네 돈이 주바 Dönyi drupala samba ngaje ye ane jo kasa jowe zowa keba cheba na ke tuba chungos tende keba cheba ina ane pangja chimbo ye ja ta jo kaso le pangja chimbo tende ta nyomo wa shuk chimbo ina de la kapte cha tuba tubara kawa kasa da pangja chimbo ye ja tubara kawa de na semge temba tende ke waso da o tende ke kaso da sem ke wata kaso le dende drupju yobada dende nyeba 아니 dende 지금 중단 그래서 죽고 봐 임바데다 지금 가서 더 슝로다 투바잖아 다 세den게 슝다 투바잖아 제가 이나 셈네 땜바 예세 땜바에 동안 남네 쇼바자 다 되게 동안 되게 돼 아니 코지게 가서다 갈리잖아 아니 좀 투바 좀 그래서 그러다 가져 코저 리바시도 가서다 지금 가서 타 좋아 야고 제와나 좀 투바 좀 그래 좀 투바 자대 단위 동야 툴 판발 제와이나 다 소소 가서 된데게 배주 맞게 봤잖아 아니 지금 가서다 녀모와 된데게 아니 소소 된데 녀모와 샤와도 주네 아니 디 소소를 넣는데 대대와 이나 판발잖아 아니 소소 감소만 개와 저기 있어 되봐 삼바상가 삼로 땅와상가 그 편도 말았어 근데 개물아야 소리쳐서 세계에서 줘로 당에 심지어 탐재게 된다 아니 감소를 개와 저기 있어 doba deles dene sozo bezo majewa jetuba de je majewa ina jetuba de jetum주 jene 아니 제마도바 de jetuba shoso molom jaerwa molom ja 아니 디토로 초사 tip장제 제국으로와 워덴데 전에 워덴데 가야 마jewa 전에는 소소 덴데 가서든 감소 개와 지기 예스 제 덴데스 아니 오늘 냠내 오늘 지금 개발된 줄 아니 개mol아서 차대를 세계에 수주로 셔보죠.
So here it's taking the for somebody who's has the intention to fulfill the two purposes, that is the purpose of oneself and the purpose of the sentient beings, and is aware that to bring this about, to fulfill this, one must establish the particular causes that are in line with those results, that are in harmony with those results, and that one is, has that confidence to entering into the effort and the actions that are necessary, and that if one is in that situation, it's saying that even the greatest obstacle will find it hard to overcome. There's such a steady mind. One has, established one's stance, one's position to say, I will not be overcome by whatever mental affliction. And that one is able to employ all the skills what one learned through one's mind training to be able to overcome that, which means that we're gaining more and more conviction in the approach that we are taking, and that we are looking towards the wisdom which we have generated through learning. The wisdom has arisen through our reflecting on that in analysis, and the wisdom which we have gained through meditation. Now we're able to practice those in unison to bring it all to bear in that difficult situation, and therefore, we have the capacity then to defeat that particular situation. We won't be overcome by even a great obstacle. And so, but if I am defeated by a fall, that is, then if it's the situation where you are overcome by a fall, then you have already made this massive promise and vow to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. You know what is involved in that. You are aware of the possible pitfalls and all the mind training that has gone before, and yet you are overcome by a downfall, as it says here. Then your wish to vanquish the three realms will become a joke. You become a laughing stock. Really, you can't be taken seriously. And of course, it's often not so black and white, that if you're in a situation where you are not making any effort to counter certain attitudes of mind, then you are a laughing stock. In a situation where you find something so overwhelming that you can't oppose it, then you're better to get yourself out of that situation, engage in aspirational prayer and activities of accumulating merit and purifying obscurations and negativities in order to give you strength of mind to come back and deal with it later.
다 간제 소소 제투바데 제. 다 소소가 뉴버가 마당하지 연구를 왔다. 용도 아니 대가라 근데 뉴도 제투에게 아니 조사 집장자 몰음자 제지래. 좋아. 소소 제투바데 맞아오자 아니 제마 제투바 용화 쇼스는 다 개mol아서 책으로 왔다. 개mol아서 책으로 와. 뭐로 벨차잖아. 뭐저 개와 제마 밀류 토바죠. 뒤는 대조고 류된 토바죠. 산지게 때바데 제와 쇼스 몰음자 다다 밀류 토 가서 대조고 류된 토 산지 때바 제바디 배주마다 왔제. 배주마다 왔제. 아니 개와 제마데 밀류 토에다 산지게 때바 제야다. 아니 냠내 야고 용화 쇼스 라블라다. 그다다 대마서 와. 좋아. 다다 제 그거 여바데 다다체 아니 대간들 아니 무튼에 들려 용하게 뭐하다 몰람 지게 놓고 좀 전에 봐 차대어라 좀 전에 봐 차대어라
And so, yes, it's saying that, whatever you can do, and then whatever you can't, then pause and make aspirational prayers, engage in accumulation of merit and the purification of negativities and obscurations. And that's to find something too hard now, but to put it down to say later, I'll be in a position to be able to deal with this better and with more skill, etc., etc. And that it is important to try to recognize where one is in terms of one's mind training, what one's assets are in terms of having a human rebirth, precious human rebirth, and met with the teachings, etc., etc., and be able to go on that kind of capital, use that capital to be able to then better deal with whatever afflictive situation you find yourself in. It's not good enough to simply not act, but to simply go, okay, I'm gonna pray just in a future life that I will have a precious human rebirth, that I will meet with the teachings, and so on and so on. Just living it as prayer is not good enough. In fact, in a situation where you actually now have a precious human rebirth, you have met with the teachings, you have a certain degree of mind training, and not to be using it is laughable. That's something that person can't be taken seriously. They're simply living in the future without actually laying down the causes to make that future an actuality. And so understand that the job of Dharma is now, is in the next moment.
我的人都，我在这里觉得，俺木头呢，他可是接公办做了，伢们都公办的做的。我在那来，当然我说，但他还需要来当包了，伢们都从热巴学什么有的不着，俺让了伢们吧，我在学什么有的吧，俺告诉的，可有这个的，把伢们我介绍给学什么有这个，当然我都考虑的，他刚子，第二标准就到接多吧一呢，俺在那来拉的专业应该去。라다 줘야 이게 중국어와 어디래 다다다데 너가 사실 때 되게 맞아 가다바 기시 주고 중국어도 와 나라 내가 시바케 메스 아니 콜려나 날려 코 담나 나다 중국어도 와 동제 숨는 대여스 콜 팀나 나야 팀스 콜려나 나야 lö스 다가 너무 좀 되게 저거 가서래 저거 숙체다 저 저거도나 아니 거리가 녀모도서 좀 해서도 배전 지구 유스. 아니 녀모도서 말려서 나의 흘려 되고 유스. 뭐라고 다다 나라도 된데 dim에게다 그거 가서다 슈 dim에게다 뒤지 개체슈 차다. 다 간사무서나 녀모게 되게 지금 가서는 렐라보고는 온도 뒤에 거 니와 숙체도 저도 알고 렐라달라도 저거 다다 뭐죠? 녀모가 상황도 주가 가면서 또 가요. 가갑들 와. 가게 갑들에 이내 거주에 가보 용거서 말해 나 검검 레라달라달라도 두고로 와 레라달라도 검날 나와 먼저 못에 가야 요마서 검검네 거 레라달라도 두고도 거 춘이로 와 춘이려
And so, yes, of course, we're in an environment where we have both to deal with coarse, powerful mental affliction, and in an environment which supports such mental affliction. So it can very much appear at times like we're pushing a large rock uphill. It can be quite difficult. But having said that, if we are consistent in our opposition to such mind states, then it will become easier for us. That great insurmountable obstacle will no longer seem so great or so insurmountable, that we will be able to deal with it more readily. It becomes easier and easier through habituation. That like the great Kadampas used to say, I have no other work but to oppose mental afflictions. When I'm, when they are relaxed, I am relaxed. When they arise, I am on guard with my spear of antidotes. So very much addressing the reality of a situation, and that it's important to understand that there is nothing that does not become easier through habituation. That if we are habituated to applying the antidotes, to the right way of thinking, then we are overcoming that which we have become so habituated to, the mentally afflicted way of thinking. The third of those subheadings was the abiding in the self-confidence of the antidote. And verse number 55 says, I will conquer everything, and nothing at all shall conquer me. I, a son of the lion-like conqueror, should remain self-confident in this way.
달래 방자 수양 개와면서 다데데 이마자 오다 감송고 녀모 탐제래니 개와지기 디빵와지기 있어 아니 디빵 투에게 유메데 때 녀모가 내다다 하고 봤잖아 아니 디빵 여바 ngoto도 오다 빵와지기 있어 제데 달래 방자 수양 개와 다데데 이마자 라한다 셀라 녀바지기 녀모 수깔라 고갑적이 메스 디 개와 제주고 메스 딜라 구갑적이면 디토바 제주면 디 녀모 소소 온도 도토바 제기 있어. 그러나 개와 미자워. 냠도 냠도서 디다 모데게 리탐제 잡아 제베서 로타가자 레타가자 제 로타가자 디다 모데베다 타가자 로타가서 녀모베 디다 풍비 디다 치다게 디다 하이비 디라서 뒤시 담제 안에 뒤시 좀그 있으나 바 담제 제용으로 왔다. 담제 제는 다 생겨 좀 담제 제는 다 냠도서 뒤다 모디베 리 탐제 잡았으면 저와 생기 세다 상 나라도 때베다 was 또뭐 좀 되는 게 생기 세 달에 현재봤으면 다시 심지 탐제라 편바 제베 달에 현재베 장주가 셈레 장주 셈바 개와텔라 내가 자워서 다 장주 셈바사 장주 셈바 된데게 다 가서 상게 좀 되데 아니 가서 개체가 줘봐라 라벨세 아니 가서 세베세 나게 될아서 된데게 나게 될 내가 제요레스 내가 제 뒤내지 얘기 내가 지기 있어 셔보셔
And so this begins with, I will conquer everything. And so what it means, of course, is I will overcome all objects to be abandoned. In other words, all of the mental afflictions associated with the three realms of being, the desire realm, the form realm, the formless realm. And that then, its second line, and nothing at all shall conquer me, that I will not be overcome by any of the objects to be abandoned. I will be completely impervious to any mental affliction. And as such, I, a son of the lion-like conqueror, here it's referring to the son of Shakyamuni Buddha, the Guru Buddha, and that which is, gives fright to the deer of the Tirtikas and the demons. And here is referring to particular demon qualities, four in turn: the demon of the aggregates, the demon of afflictive emotions, the demon of death, and the demon of the what's called the son of the gods, which often refers to lust. And that I will overcome all of these through the confidence of the mind of enlightenment itself, which is that which cherishes all sentient beings. and that this will abide in this and stay within the protection of this confidence. I will give mental affliction absolutely no opportunity. I will destroy mental affliction with extreme prejudice, and that I will be doing so by engaging in the activities of the Bodhisattva and the confidence which comes from cherishing all sentient beings. And so let's leave it at that point for today. And so then bring our minds again back to the Guru Manindra that we are visualizing in the space in front.
Chaba tuje dunga dik ngoto bachene dile tawa je macho wa ina ta mune dane digi tsenyi sawa je yonju me bache oda da ruwa ngara zola danda je kasa de kanga mangbo te de kari kasa ngozo ta kaja de kaso de chaba tuje dunga yoba inza an dile dene ane dunga shimbani ge de yonga de do duwe dunga ta ane dunga ni de yonga de de ne so che do ta chaba tuje dunga de la dile ngeba jo nge jo ke chuma jo na 아니 그 타와지 영화 그러면 누가 다 대해서 어디를 공부하시네 예주 공부하셔 되는 예배게 로데 이게 밤제 줘 밤용소 줘발래 아니 뼈마다 맞게 봐자 랑게 집에 된도 내수 삼사체 되네 다 지난 거 최근에 지금 있나요 유대는 주바서 두자 요만서 커다 줘봐 공부하셔 된데 예배 로데 아니 이게 홍지라 좀 홍용소에 님의 경우 약하고 주소서 삼사체 다 되네 이제 라완도 마주와 인바 인자 다고 여다데 때네 조면도 조다 매바 인자 다 때네 조아인도 규견 초발을 때네 용이도 아니 릭도 베줄라 릭도 되고 용이인데 다 심제 탐제도 사제 공부 두개 요바제 레샤스 뭐 쳐바체 좀제 통해 거네 아니 되네 심제 탐제도 사제 공부 맞죠 토마도 두바 지기 산소 공부시 제네 예벨로데 이게 아직 아요서 다외 좀 약하고 조소서때 님의 경고에 대해 내서서 반대자를 너무는 뭐지 다게 지원변을 그래 구수 투쟁 모두 그래 순대전 담배 가서 배 니베 가서 수면 땜서 산재 공마마도 제 소소 손을 가고 다 야고 싶을 줄 너무 두배 엄비 다 저기 산재 공마마도 뭐도 제 소소 손다 야고 싶을 줄 가고
And so we bring our thinking on to the three realms of existence, the six realms of beings within those three realms of existence, and knowing that they are suffering. They are suffering, the suffering of change, and more specifically, pervasive suffering. And really, until they are able to deal with that pervasive suffering, there is no liberation from this reality. And in this reality, there is no possibility of really finding a fully qualified happiness. And so if we think about it, all the problems that we encounter are really fall at the lap of this pervasive suffering. And it is that which induces the suffering of change and the suffering of suffering in turn. And we want to gain a sense of really definite emergence from this reality, this renunciation. And that is symbolized by the syllable Bam, which transforms into the lotus mandala seat on our crown. And then this wishing wishing to attain that liberation, that we search for that sense of I or selfness in all inner and outer phenomena, and the analysis realizing that no such self exists, that it is completely imputed, and we arrive at the mere negation of that object of negation, which brings rise to the syllable hung, which transforms into the sun mandala seat on our crown. And the consequence of such analysis leads us to understand that all phenomena lack any self-powered reality, that they are dependent phenomena. They arise in dependence, and the whole law of cause and effect is validated in that there is a direct relationship between a cause and its effect. They align in harmony. And that means that I can attain, if I accumulate all the causes, the state of enlightenment itself. And so I can generate with confidence and with logic the mind of enlightenment. And that is symbolized by the syllable A, which is represented by a moon disk mandala seat. Then we utter the invocation verse for the Guru Manindra that we are visualizing in the space in front to come and take this seat that we have prepared on our crown. O glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat placed here on my crown. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. At the end of the first recitation, the figure begins the journey from the space in front. At the end of the second, they have arrived at our pre-prepared seat. And at the end of the third, we have that certainty that the Guru Manindra will remain until we attain enlightenment itself. It's something that brings an automatic gush of joy and rejoicing to our minds, and we make the offerings of the mandala and the 7 limbs of practice.
내가 컨디션 바이네 아니 동 라신데 동에라 맞아버려 샤서 어떤 공부하시네 아니 대화링 델링에 맞죠 좀 공부하시네 아니 대지가 밤치고 좀 공부하시 근데 되는 게 맞죠 좀그 로데 랑닝데 이게 밤치라 주소 섬서 밤 용소 줘라 뺨마다 맞지 버려 주소 섬서 되네 지난 거 컨디션 유대한 저 두상 요만해서 코다 주고 공부하시 아니 근데 가자 가자는 게 로데 아니 이게 혼질죠. 혼연수에 님의 증거 약간 같이 뼈마다 맞지면 되네. 소소 되네. 다 되게 주관이 지 공부하시잖아요. 다 간제 라완도 마도바 임바인자 다 여다데 때네 도발을 매레스. 어디 공부하시네. 그래서 때네 중앙에 임바나 라완도 마도바. 라완도 마도바 때네 중앙에 임바지. 어디 지금 공부하시도 아니 될라 되네. 아니 산제 공부하기 주에 요바든 요바녀도 맞도 담도 수투바치기 있어서 그것이 대한 요원이도 좀 근데 예배 좀 아니 그 다에 가서 이게 아침에 아유서에 다에 지금 약간 줘서 근데 반대서 라마 좀 뭐지 다게 인가 빼면 그렇게 구조도 못서도 그래서 지원라마 투병 못하네 왜게 남바잖아요. 랑게 집어내 뭐 저는 담배 가서 니가 가서 수면 때는 저 산재 뭐 뭐도 저스다 고마시 아니 되네 님 배마다 되대 남진님네 데이터 도지 거 정거 저 카제 디 타고도 도매 생각다야도 뭐는 마음을 쓰는데 거래지고 좀 숨고 되네 진짜 자매가 송아 엄다 가서 알아봐서 나티디디스 고마시 되네 된데가 뭐 예다마 해도 뭐 샤만에 소 되네 좀 숨고 되네 좀 고마시 어디지
So then we again contemplate the mind of renunciation as we begin to form a suitable mandala seat at our heart center. Again, reflecting on the nature of suffering within cyclic existence and how, in fact, it's impossible for us to gain beyond that suffering within this reality. And so we developed this mind of definite emergence, wanting to attain liberation from such suffering. And this is symbolized by the syllable Bam, again, which transforms into the lotus mandala seat. And once again, the reflecting on all inner and outer phenomena and the fact that these phenomena lack any objective existence. They are not self-powered, and that they do not exist in the way that they appear. This brings forth the syllable Hung, which transforms into the sun mandala seat at our heart center. And from that analysis, we again understand the lack that phenomena, all phenomena, including ourselves, lack any self-powered existence, and that The state of existence that they do have is one which is arising independence on other factors. And so this uh, validates the whole possibility of karma and what that the causes that we can accumulate in order to attain a specific result. And that specific result in this case is the mind of enlightenment, the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and now becomes a possibility because of the fact of phenomena, including the law of cause and effect, arising independence. And that is symbolized by the syllable A, which transforms into a moon mandala seat. And then we utter the invocation verse thrice again, the first time with the Guru Manindra, moving down through our crown chakra into the central channel. And then the second time we say this, O glorious and precious Guru, come take a lotus and moon seat placed here at my heart. Keep me safe in your kindness, bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. The Guru Manindra arrives at our pre-prepared seat. And at the end of the third recitation, again, we have that beautiful sensation of rejoicing that the Guru Manindra will remain until we attain enlightenment ourselves. Then the petals of the lotus fold over and are joined at their tips by a white five-pronged Vajra. Three mantras then circle the moon disk at our heart, the mandala seat at our heart center. Sorry, they surround the package of the lotus leaves. The first in a clockwise direction being the name mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha. The second in an anti-clockwise direction being the mantra of Manjushri, and the third in a clockwise direction being the mantra of the pendant arising itself.
어디저다 랑게 니고서 라마투베 오번네바티 아니 거기서 구송토라 외세트나 랑게 지원에 간데가 봐라 류탄절라 라마투베 외세가 맞아봐 메데가 조금 봐시 원때는 아니 원때는 차발을 때네 아니 토마메 와서 디바치다 켜봐도야 다가자 소주와 맞으면 메산 줘봐 주인타마 특종 아제 낙선도선 라우달라서 봐 다가자 제배 하나마도 와라 라신 하나마도 면요 세디 생가마 디행가마 토마메마서 냐바디가 바 장체 다수 삼사체 아니 나도도 소소답에 도마다 가와 자주스베 라와다 가와 상하게 단체다 팔라말라 먹고도 제벌 로벨라 먹고도 도스마죠 구조스베 네벨레제 담배 쳐본가 법에 준도로 고하다 심제는 네벨레제 버서 도나 토리다 탑에 계속 주제 고하다 예송가 예도 지쳐봐서 바 장체 다바 쳐서 삼사체 다가는 생각에 가서 다가제 지금 뉴도 산제 공부 토발라 다가제 가서 란게 류대탄코 자루 다가제 조시 코만요 코냐바 자루 틸리卷대도 마자 하도도 타메가 나제卷타제 가나타제 다바란자 바시 차도 바 야부 조수 삼자 어디는 고바자.
And so then the light rays begin to emanate from the Guru Manindra at our heart center, permeating through our bodies, through every cell of our bodies, affecting a profound purification of all negativities and obscurations that we have accumulated since beginning this time, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, of lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, and idle gossip, of covetousness, malicious intent, and wrong view, of all negativities associated with this life, of the one previous to this, and previous to that, and previous to that again, going back to a beginningless time. And that all negativities associated with the naturally occurring negativities, and all those which have been proscribed by the Buddha, all of the negativities related to the infractions or downfalls of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhicitta, the Pratimoksha, the Bodhisattva, and the Tantric vows. All disrespect we have shown from our parents up to our gurus, all the abandoning of the dharma of causing schism or within the sangha, etc., etc., and that all of the imbalances to our channels, winds, and drops of the 4 elements of the body, and particularly that which is the main obstacle to our quickly being able to attain enlightenment, the ordinary view is now dispensed with, and we are able to perceive reality with a pure view.
거기서 라마 샤자선 꾸들 현재 지금 저 소소리도 라마 샤자선 꾸를 주소 소소 신도 저 샘데니 라마 샤자선 그 투들 현재 지금 저 소소선도 라마 샤자선 그 투라 주소 섬사 랑게 룽아에서 라마 샤자선 꾸순도 거에 주소 섬사자 디 대화대 대외 동바대 대도 니스바 이식께서 섬사자 다 가서데 랑게 네디야 아니 너기 견 타제 장네 라마샤자스가 다외 신도 주소 선라 라마샤자스 구소 동거 예매 주와 나처럼 나라라 심에고 섬로다 아니 랑게 라마샤자스가 샤자스가 그 두갈래 라마샤자스가 셈쟁가 자다냐 뭐 파트네 안데다 셈쟁 레레 라마샤자스가 레레 티발라데 데다 탄자자 라마샤자스 구소 동거 예매 주소 데다 내사게 네 데다 너기 견 타제 라마샤자스가 다외 신도 주소我到 심지어 담자 산지가 살라 꾸게서 다 니마 데는 거서 설레 가고 다 심지어 담자 산지가 살라 꾸바 대체도 수수 개와 가도 두고 소소의 잡아 유대의 주바도 막 두자 요마레 코다 주바가 디 대화대 대도 뉴스만 이식께서 섬사자
Then through the combination of my own most subtle wind acting as the substantial cause, together with the body of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own body is transformed into the enlightened body of a Buddha. And through the combination of my own most subtle mind or consciousness acting as the substantial cause, together with the mind of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own mind is now transformed into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. And I see my body, speech, and mind as being indivisible from the body, speech, and mind of a Buddha. This brings forth a sense of bliss combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. And then seeing myself as a fully enlightened being, I appear as something which is existing from its own side, but I know that it is lacking any inherent existence. And I send out right rays from my own heart center, equal in number to all the sentient beings in all the 6 realms of existence. And upon dissolving into them, they spontaneously arise as fully enlightened beings. The place that they are in is also purified of all fault, and that becomes a the Buddha realm, and that they all arise as fully enlightened beings. Again, I rejoice in this reality to my own mind of having not only attained enlightenment, but have led all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment as well. This is something wonderful. But I'm realizing also that the leading of all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment, the virtue which has facilitated that, and myself as the agent of that virtue, all lack any objective existence and are merely imputed by thought. This in turn produces a sense of bliss which combines with voidness, and I again abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
我他单单的没把一切了，我那后来得得来了，我就买吧，要买的得一呢，单单三六当完的些，我那后来得得，你都用那个推荐上给见的这个就是就说，我这我得讲，
And so, of course, we're acting at the level of aspiration and imagination now. Of course, the things cannot be that easy. But when we do make our dedication now, we do so with the greatest sincerity that we will do our very best to bring forth all conducive conditions to dismiss all inconducive conditions in order to make this a reality as quickly as possible.
对，那我说那我们讲完那些大多些整个不都可对应的待遇也上上去， 对是 거두이네 아니 지금 내단 근데 좋네 다와도 이제 되는가 봐티 아니 지금 가서도 동리도现在 자주섬게 아니 가서도 그 자주섬게 아니 냠내게 아니 유튜브 제치 그러나 어때 제치다 개치고 있어요 어때 제
And it's important to remember that we have this combination of the moon disk, the Vajra, and the name mantra at our heart center, and that is always there. And that it is a constant reminder for us to be able to transform every moment into creating the causes for the mind of enlightenment and the wisdom realizing emptiness.
어때 다들 가서 뒤소 쪽에 자주서다 동리도 시작이 가서도 가서도 마케팅 그 가서를 캐피탈 소라 삼다 이 야제다 삼다
So it's kind of like this is our
share market that marketing
this
capital
is they've got a share market going on here inside our heart center, and we're wanting to increase the value of our shares in this market, the market of the mind of enlightenment and the wisdom realizing emptiness.
어디 고마시 어디 개완디
Yin yo da Lan mo san ye dro gyorn ne dro wa che kyang ma lu pa le yin ya go bar sho Chan Juk San Cho Rinpoche Ma Ke Pa Nam Ke Gyor Chik Ge Pa Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Pel War Sho Don Ni Da Wa Rinpoche Ma ke ba nam ke gyo chi ye pa nyam ha me pa yang gong ne gong du pe war shong Ma wei ko wei shin kam dun ben dang de wa ma lu zhong nen ning Ken rui zik mong ten jing ga tso yi sha bei si de ba du ten gyu ting Zhe wei ta chen chen zik Gui mei gen bei wang po jam pe liang gang chen ken bei zu ken song ka ban lo sang dai bei sha la so wa de mei ge zhe wei ta chen chen zik gui mei kem pei wang po jam pe liang gang chen ken bei zu ken song ga ban lo sang dai bei sha la so de Gui mei gen wei ta chen chen zik Gui mei kem pei wang po jam pe liang gang chen ken pei zu ken tong ka ban lo sang Shabla You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of compassion, not aimed at true existence, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hordes of demons without exception, Sankapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, Losangrakpa, at your feet I make requests.
Okay, that's all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Genwa. Thank you,
you.
Noel.